Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hello, welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. The Philadelphia Eagles have clinched the number one spot in the NFC. Do I care about style points today and what happened against the Giants in the 22-16 victory? I don't. You're not going to hear me bitch. You're not going to hear me complain. I might bring up that Reed Blankenship got ran over by Davis Webb. Okay, I might bring up that Darius Slay got absolutely owned and embarrassed by someone who's been embarrassing for the Giants. But at the end of the day, this team had a goal. And their goal was to win the football game, secure that bye week, so they can get some rest, because there's clearly some guys that are still a little bit banged up. The quarterback dealing with some soreness. The quarterback battling with the physicality of the shoulder and all today. But that's why you win 14 games this season. So you are put in a position where you can kind of kick back and let yourself heal while other teams are in the trenches going to work, putting their body through hell, and you get a chance to rest up. If you think that the Eagles coaching staff is going to go out there and have that game plan in the postseason, well, then you're delusional. What they did today was, let's just go win this game against the third stringer. Let's get Jalen Hurts out there, and let's not put him in some insane position. Let him throw the football a little bit. Vanilla. Let's go win a football game. They struggled near the end zone. They settled for some field goals. They won the football game. And that was their duty today. If you thought that they were going to go out there and have the most creative design and be insane and have all these philosophies. No. Do you see what the Giants did? This is week 18. This is what you get. A fake field goal that was pathetic. What else did they do? Did they have the trickery play down by was that by the red zone? I think it was. It was by the red zone. They got a little cute. The Eagles sniffed it out. I think it was by the red zone. It doesn't even matter. But, you throw in some things, and you do this, or you be extra vanilla. It's just what happens during the week 18 when this is sort of the circumstance. Your quarterback is returning from not playing for a couple of weeks. So there's rust and some soreness, which is human nature. You see the first drive, everyone's bitching and complaining, you're not running the ball enough. They're up 3-0, and they're going to win this football game. I think there's plenty of times when that is valid. I think there's plenty of times where I think criticism is fair, and there's plenty of blame to go around. I got people tweeting at me going, Broads, your boy, not applying any pressure against Webb. Dude, today's not the day to bitch about Jonathan Gannon and the way that he played Webb. I mean, there's just times. There's times when it makes sense to bring some things up, and there's times when you shouldn't. Each game in this league, while, yes, over a long period of time, over the 18 games, you learn a lot about what your team does well, what your team doesn't do well, so then you have some sort of knowledge on what your team is about. And I bring that up to you because I'm about to say that what happened in Week 7 this year has zero correlation to what happens in the first game of the postseason for the Eagles, right? What happened in Week 9 this year? What happened in Week 2? What happened in Week 13? What happened in Week 7? Like, it's all its own game. When the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, there was some ugliness involved with Nick Foles. Nobody really remembers that because the last two games were magnificent against the Vikings and against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. They barely won against the Falcons. Barely won. And don't even get me started at the end of the regular season on Christmas against the Raiders. And then whatever the hell that sloppiness was, I think they played nobody, though. And that final game of the season, what was it, 6-0 or something like that? What happened against the Falcons a week before the NFC Championship game was night and day from each other. So what happened today, regardless of what's going to happen the first time they play in the postseason this year, it has nothing to do with what happened today. If you want to be nervous about the health of Jalen Hurts, I'm not. If you want to be nervous about Lane Johnson, yeah, I think that's fair. There's some things to bring up, but then also remember, whatever team we're talking about down the road, they had problems too. They have injuries. They have holes. They have flaws. They're bad in a certain area. It's not as if whatever team the Eagles play, they're perfect, and the Eagles are the only one dealing with a little bit of, unsettling spots on their roster. For what it's worth, it is what it is. It is what it is. That's where I'm at. I guess I am a little surprised that the injury, we're hearing from the coach and we're hearing from the quarterback about the soreness and the battle and what it took to get him to the spot, because we spoke to James Palmer of NFL Network on The Fanatic on Friday, and he was like, from what I'm hearing from the teammates and kind of the vibe I'm getting from everybody around the organization is he's ready to rock and he's ready to go, and it's not as bad as maybe people thought it was going to be and this and that. And I'm not saying that he gave out bad information, because I thought the same exact thing, and a lot of the people who were close to the situation were saying the same. I guess I was kind of shocked to hear them, knowing how they operate, knowing how this franchise normally goes about business, for them just seconds after the game, for Jalen Hurts to admit that it was a grind and it was a battle and it took some toughness to be in this position to be for his teammates. I didn't think it was as intense as that. I thought he probably could have played last week, but they just thought, hey, maybe we can pass another week by with Gardner, and as long as he plays a passable game of football, which we realize he played the worst football game in the history of the damn world, well then, you had no chance of winning once that was the case. I'm not really going to keep anybody crazy long today. I have some anytime hotline calls, but my thoughts are this, and it's very, very simple. The Eagles had a job today. They accomplished their job. In the Rams Super Bowl run, they lost to the San Francisco 49ers Week 18. They won the Super Bowl. It is what it is. I'm just saying. There's a reaction to the way they're playing right now. We saw it with the Phillies. The Phillies had 1 billion flaws. The Eagles have significantly less flaws than the Phillies did. Once you get into the postseason, anything can happen. The Eagles won the Super Bowl without a left tackle. Do I have to tell you the story on how they won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, who wasn't very good in the game against the Falcons, who wasn't very good at the end of the regular season at all? They won the Super Bowl. This team is in way better hands and has a way better percentage shot to finish the job. Doesn't mean they automatically do, because it's very hard to do so. But when the playoffs begin, it's a totally different beast. So there's a lot of things that happen throughout the regular season. I'm not going to say it's thrown out the window, because I do believe there's part of the brand that's in those 18 regular season games. But you can't take everything and automatically apply it either. There is a middle ground. All right. Anyway, we'll hear from some callers, because that's all I really have for you.
Number one in the NFC, baby. Number one. I don't care what anyone has to say. We are the number one. Dallas blowing it up right now, losing it to the Commanders. I love it. I love it. I saw everything I needed to see today. I saw Jalen Hurts out there getting the job done. Was it the prettiest game? Was it a complete blowout? Whatever. I saw everything I needed to see. The defense played great, and just sigh of relief, man. Sigh of relief that we're back. We're back, baby. We're going into the playoffs. We're going to win a Super Bowl. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right, I feel you. Now, you say sigh of relief. I don't have a sigh of relief. I knew this was going to happen. You go from a backup quarterback to the MVP of the league returning, the dude who has the most swag I've ever seen, the guy who creates everything that's happening right now in this locker room. It all stems from Jalen Hurts. He's back. Your team will be fine. There was seriously 0 ounces of my body that thought they were going to lose this game because the DNA of Jalen Hurts wins this football game. And I know it wasn't pretty, and I know the end result says whatever the scoreboard says. It wasn't close. You didn't blow them out by 40. You didn't punch it in as much as you would like to. And when you did, you had the Devontae Smith touchdown, which was called back by a bull. A bull. Call on Landon Dickerson for being a half centimeter down the field, which is just outrageous the way that that's called nowadays. But you get that pulled back, and then a second later, Hurts throws the interception. And did it feel as if when the flag was thrown that he thought it was a free play or something? Because he threw it into 9,000 guys. Now, maybe it was just a poor decision, but it almost looked as if he thought, hey, we have a free shot at it. Let me just try and throw it this way. I don't know. Regardless, though, I'm not too worried about this game in particular, and I wasn't worried about this game heading into it. I knew they were going to win this football game, and they did, and it wasn't even close. And part of that is because, the Giants surrendered before the game began by throwing in some Davis Webb guy. I don't even know if I'm getting the guy's name right. Who the hell is this guy? Stinks. Ran over Reed Blankenship, though.
This performance today is like the ones we've seen recently. I guess it's becoming the norm with the Eagles. The play calling offensively, I'm not mad at Jalen Hurts per se, but why this team refuses to consistently run the ball and help a struggling quarterback out, whether it's Hurts or Minshew, I don't know. And, of course, the atypical bitching at Jonathan Gannon. I mean, this was a game where you could have let the dogs loose and gotten that sack record with ease, but he's just Mr. Passive Pants. Give everybody 10, 12 yards of cushion and don't get beat deep by the greatness that is Davis Webb. But I don't really get upset about it anymore, Hunter. At the end of the day, they got the win. Now everybody that's left is 0-0. What you did in the regular season means nothing now. But this team needs to turn it up offensively, defensively, and overall coaching, because right now I'm not feeling real good about what I'm seeing.
See, I that's where you kind of lose me a little bit. Saying you don't feel good. Look, I'm just getting my back's getting stuck to my chair and all that. They're not playing the greatest football in the entire world. They weren't playing the greatest football in the entire world at the end of that 2017 season. You forget that. People forget that because they want to forget that. Nick Foles, even in the playoffs, there was a game where Nick Foles was insanely bad. But Jalen Mills, and really Julio Jones, the ball just went through his hands. And I'm not telling you that's a recipe for success, because in reality, it's not a recipe for success. I've watched this team play all year long, just like everybody else. They're a damn good football team. There's a different sense of urgency. There's a different level of hostility coming into this building and playing. So the other team is going to be facing a ton of adversity, just having to do the silent snap count, having to play here. It's going to be outrageous third downs. They're not going to be able to feel their own bodies. Their mind, their brain is going to be bouncing around in their damn head. It's going to be insane. It's going to be super tough. You have that. You have the 1 week rest while the other team is back battling for their lives to try and even get to this position to come into South Philadelphia. I've seen this team play, and I've watched a lot of football, and I see what else is around this league. The Eagles are just as good as all the other top teams in this league. I've watched it long enough. So let's go. Let's go. None of this nervousness. Let's go. Gannon, that's the one that I think we can all, down the road, maybe not today, down the road, as we inch our way closer to the game and we start breaking down strategy, breaking down the opponent, what weapons do they have, what do they do that they excel at, where are they probably going to try and target the Eagles. I thought it was fascinating that we saw CJ Gardner-Johnson play in this slot. I thought that they'd still continue to maybe do some other things and when I was just surprised to even see it. But I'm glad that they're thinking that way because you're probably going to have to utilize it knowing where Avonte Maddox is with his current spot and the toe injury. So as we inch our way closer to the game, yeah, I think Gannon is fair even with the numbers because we know that there is an issue there. But right now, today, to say you're worried about the way this team's playing, they're good. They're 14-3. 14-3. You can't lose sight of that. The Chiefs are 14-3. I'm not taking anything away from what they did. I'm not going to be brainwashed by 2 games with their backup quarterback. And then you say, well, they didn't play good against the Colts and they had a bad one against the Bears. Stop. Do that about every team. Then how come every team doesn't have a better record? What they did was impressive. Don't be brainwashed by a couple games of Gardner Minshew and a few losses at the end of the regular season when the MVP of the league wasn't there. And it hurts to be able to see how his body reacts, see how his shoulder reacts, and get a couple weeks here to bounce back from it. I'm all right, man. I'm okay right now. What's next?
What a game, bros. I don't care that we played the Giants backups. Fact is, we went out there and we got the dub. That's all that matters. We got the bye week. Jalen, go rest up. You can do your thing. And I'm just kind of looking ahead, bros. I'm happy the Niners got that second seed because we won't see them till the NFC Championship game. That's the only other team that I fear in the NFC. Go Birds, baby.
Sorry, I blanked out for a second. Who did he say? I'm gonna restart this a little bit, like 5-6 seconds ago.
Just kind of looking ahead, bros. I'm happy the Niners got that second seed.
Yeah, I'm worried about the Niners right now. Worried about the Eagles. I'm worried about the Eagles. That's who I'm worried about right now. I'm not worried about them. That was probably the wrong choice of words. I was only using that because I'm rephrasing what was stated in the call. I'm focused on what the Eagles can do. I'm focused on what the Eagles can control. We'll worry about who they see down the road whenever that week comes up, whenever that opponent is on the board. NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, Bills, Chiefs, whatever team's in there in the AFC side, Cincinnati, whatever's going to happen in the NFC Championship, we'll get there. I ain't worried about it. I'm focused on Jalen Hurts. I'm focused on Sirianni. I'm focused on Steichen. I'm focused on Sanders, who had the knee brace on a week ago. Got to keep him spry, keep him ready to rock, run him out of a damn cannon. And I do believe for all this fear of the run game and where is it and this and that, just wait. Just wait. It's going to be a deadly weapon. I believe that. We'll take, I guess, one more call here. What are we at? 20 minutes right now? Yeah, I guess we'll do one more.
I don't really know how to feel about this game. I feel like the offensive playbook was just very small, and they were just running vanilla plays and kind of maybe threw the offense off a little bit. I mean, Hurts also made some throws that weren't so great, but I mean, he's been out the last 2 weeks. That just could be some rust. I don't know, man. It just feels like they came in with the same attitude they came in with the last 2 games. They just didn't care about the game. They just wanted to get through the regular season, get to the playoffs. I just hope our mindset's different in 2 weeks and we come out there and kick the ass out of whoever we're playing.
See, it's week 18. The other team's playing some guy named Davis Webb. They have a bunch of backups in. And the call states, I really hope they play with a different attitude and come prepared to play differently in 2 weeks. They're going to. Week 18 against backups in Davis Webb, and then a home playoff game after a bye? They're going to. They're not going to approach it like they did when Gardner Minshew was playing and they still had a couple weeks to go to try and wrap up an NFC number 1 spot. They're not playing, what was it, a 6-win Saints team with their backup quarterback hoping to get a W. It's going to be postseason football. They're going to be jacked up. They're going to be ready to run through a damn brick wall running out of that tunnel at the link. It's not even going to be the close of the same. Not even close. All right. With that, those are my thoughts. Nothing groundbreaking today. Nice and simple. They did what they were supposed to do. Don't overthink this. Thank you guys all so much. I appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next one.